Welcome along to a video where I'm going to discuss the works of Stanley Kubrick. Now, Stanley Kubrick for me is the greatest film director of all time. He hasn't directed my favourite films, and some of his films aren't even in my top 10, but I appreciate his work, and I think that for a person, the director side of him, he is untouchable. And I think that love or hate his movies, you've got to give some respect for his composition, his cinematography, his setting up of shots, his way he focuses on certain things and other people wouldn't, the way he's always got things in symmetry. There's just that many things you can talk about with his cinema process, if that's a word. And today I'm going to talk about, if you want to collect all of his films, and it's quite easy, sort of. There's always a sort of to these things, isn't it? When you think, I'll just go and collect all his films, because in essence, he's only ever directed 16 films in all the time, which is quite a stunning thing to think about when you think of the best ever director has only made 16 films. Now, the main thing is, out of the 16, probably all of them are great. Now, that's something that most people can't say with their back catalogue. And also, if you take away the first 3 films, which are short films, there's only really 13 films of full length that you need to concentrate on. So it should be easy, but it's not quite that simple. Anyway, I'll take you through, this is what I've got, and I'll take you through if that's the best version or not. Is it quite easy to get or not easy to get? And anyway, so if you bear with us or sit with us, I'll take you through them, what I've got. Okay, so the first one is, and the first 3 I should say, is a film called, or I should say a very short film, more like a documentary, called Flying Padre in 1951. And also in 1951 is Day of the Fight, which is a little mini documentary about a boxer getting ready for a fight. And the third one in a sort of short documentary series is called The Seafarers, and that's about 29 minutes, and that's from 1953, and that's colour. It's the first colour thing he shot. Now, you would think that those things are a bit throwaway and not something you would ever want to see, but I wanted to see them. I watched them, and I did, for what they are, I did really enjoy them. Now, here comes the kicker. They are tagged in on the Blu-ray to, these are all Blu-ray by the way, well, most of them are. They all tagged in to his first sort of legitimate release, which was Fear and Desire. Now, the version I've got is on the Eureka Masters of the Cinema series, spine number 51. Now, the only problem with this version is it's very much out of print and very, very hard to find. It doesn't go for cheap money. You're probably looking about £50-60. But if you want to collect the Fear and Desire movie, then the only way to see it is with the other 3 ones on the back there, is to get this version. There's 2 versions out, but the second version does not have the 3 short films on. And I think you might get, you get a booklet with it, and you also get, I think you get a bit of a, that's quite a hefty booklet there. And it's only on Blu-ray, and you might get a little sort of making of or something like that. But Fear and Desire, his first official film, shall we say, that was from 1953. That's 62 minutes long, so that's actually got a full length sort of running time. Is a really, really good film. I watched it thinking this would be some director trying to find his feet and trying to maybe stumble his way through his first film and his first projects. But I was quite wrong. This has turned out to be one of my favourite Kubrick films, and it tells a really kind of dark story about these soldiers who getting caught up with this sort of weird tale. They want to find a woman and she can't speak English, and it's all about how the different people react to her. And there's a lot of things to this film, and also the cinematography on it is quite stunning. It's in black and white, but it's lovely. And if you want to get it, get this version. This is the complete version, but it's not easy to track down. And if you ever find it, snap it up, because you got yourself a little bit of a bargain. That's not a bargain, a rarity. So his next film was called Killer's Kiss, and that was in 1955, and that's 67 minutes. And also the film after that is The Killing in 1956, and that's 84 minutes. The reason why I'm telling you that together is because the Arrow Academy version of The Killing has, as a bonus, it has Killer's Kiss on as well. It has a double feature. Now, these films are really good as well. To be honest, I'll just cut across and just say they're all good, so we can just take that as read. And this version is starting to creep up in price. You're probably paying about £20–30. So if you can see it, get it cheap. If you can get it cheap, you've scored. It's a great version from Arrow as well. You get a lovely booklet with that. And it used to be one of these ones where you would always find in a sale, and then for some reason, probably due to rights, it may be going to be coming out in a different version, and then they disappear off the face of the earth, and then you've got to pay big bucks for it. But if you want the film, or you want the two of them, because the other one, you can get Killer's Kiss separately, but you have to pay twice, and sometimes the two of them are much more than the paying for the one, because they're not easy to find separately. Okay, so that's taking you up to film number 6. You can get, if you buy these two, you've got his first 6 films there, but warning, they're not cheap. It's a collector's nightmare. So in the next one was from 1957, and it's called Paths of Glory. Now I got this one, which is another Eureka Masters of Cinema, and it is spine number 155. It's been released recently, and I picked this up brand new for £10. And it's another one where you go in and you're not too sure what it's all about. You get your lovely booklet with it as well, and you think to yourself, well, maybe it's going to be good. Maybe it's, one of them, like early ones, we just know what he's doing. But this one with Kirk Douglas is amazing in it. I'm not really a Kirk Douglas fan, but I've got to admit, in this film he's stunning, and the whole story is stunning as well. It's a sort of courtroom drama, which in itself sounds boring, but it's certainly not. And also the battle scenes and the scenes where they're going through the trenches is really good as well. It reminded me a little bit of 1917 actually, but highly recommended. The next one, funny enough, it's 1960, and it's a long one, super long, 3 hours 17 minutes, and it stars Kirk Douglas again. It's Spartacus. Now this one here, this is the Blu-ray. These are the ones I would say, these other three, the first three, I'd say these are definitive versions. If you want to get them, these ones to go for, and you'll not be disappointed, and you won't be bettered by any of them. Now Spartacus, this is sort of like your average bog standard release of it on Blu-ray. It's a stunning print, it's lovely, but it is coming out in 4K now, and it's another long film. It's 3 hours 17 minutes, and to be honest, it wasn't. I appreciated it, but I didn't really like it that much. I'm not really into sort of swords and sandals. It's not my type of thing, but I could understand. The cinematography was brilliant, of course. The picture quality was lovely, but for me, I didn't really get into the film. In fact, I haven't watched it all yet. But I'm not taking anything away from it. There's a lot of fans of Spartacus, but for me personally, it didn't really connect. But I can appreciate it greatly. But then again, I would imagine when the 4K comes out, for the picture quality of the Blu-ray and the fact it's usually outside, bright lights, big colours, I think it would probably look absolutely amazing on 4K. So if you wanted this film, you might want to hang on for the 4K, which is coming out soon, I believe. Probably on an anniversary edition, 62. No, sorry, 60. So yes, it should be out this year, 2020. So the next one is another long. I think that the films seem to be quite long now. He seems to have found his niche of making longish films, and it's his 9th film that he released, and it's Lolita. Now, it took me a long time to track this down because the only available versions were this is an Italian version, and it's the only release that I can get on Blu-ray separately. You can get some of these in a box set, but when you buy Kubrick's box set, you don't get the likes of Fear and Desire, Killer's Kiss, The Killing. They don't seem to like to, well, the early works, they don't seem to bother about them, but for me, they're very watchable, and things that I think that any fan of Kubrick should see, and you'd be missing out if you didn't watch them. So sometimes the box sets that you see aren't really the best way to go, and some of the older box sets have some of the stuff remastered in 4K now, so they're not really the best versions of the discs. But this one here, it looks absolutely gorgeous, and it's a great little film. I put it off for a long time watching it. I wasn't too sure about it. Black and white, and it's got an amazing cast, and the acting in it was great. The story is brilliant. Highly recommended. £5 off eBay. You can't get it unless you get it in UK, unless you get a box set. But when you get the box set, you're going to get something that's not really the best of all these available movies, in my eyes, especially as they're starting to sort of progress into 4K very soon. I don't know about this one going to 4K. I imagine it could do. It would look lovely in 4K, I could imagine. But for me, £5, the Italian version, it's obviously in English. The only thing that's in Italian is the fact that it's got some Italian writing on the back. But on the shelf, you're never going to know. Okay, so that's Lolita. Now the next one was one that I bought. I did get a few of these releases. The what they're called again? The Sony. I think they're released by Sony, weren't they? And they had a sort of numbered spine thing. Is Sony Pictures things. This is number 11. And then I kind of got bored with collecting them. There weren't really films I wasn't going to watch over and over again, so I didn't really go too much into it. Although I'm a bit of a sucker for numbered spines. I didn't watch this till very recently, and I really enjoyed it. I knew it was a comedy of sorts, and Peter Sellers was in it playing 3 parts. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did like it. I did like it a lot more than I thought, and the picture quality is lovely. Now this has just come out in the US in 4K, but apparently the 4K isn't a massive jump up from the Blu-ray, especially the Criterion Blu-ray. But it doesn't mean to say that the 4K wouldn't come out over here, and the 4K might be a bit of a jump up from there. So for me, if there was a UK 4K came out of it, I would definitely buy it. I wouldn't bother going for the US one because it's in a box set at the moment. But for me, this will do for the moment. This is kind of like a holding title until I get an upgrade on it. But saying that, it still is really nice. It's a good version, and it's not anything that you could ever think was substandard. In fact, all of them seem to be pretty top of the range here. I don't think there's anything that I would consider being a bum release. Speaking of things that are like top of the tree, the next film that Kubrick released, now he started to sort of slow down a little bit and take a bit more time. Probably had to take a bit more time with this film because it would have took a lot more time to do the special effects, which were groundbreaking, and probably even today a lot of people don't know how some of them are done. And some of them, when they do them, when the lady comes in with a tray, then she walks around the whole upside down around the whole tunnel. It's an amazing effect. I know he turned everything around. She's not moving, but the whole thing is moving around her, which is quite unreal. I don't think he come up with it specifically, but he told people that's what he wanted to happen. But anyway, so in 1968, Kubrick released 2001, A Space Odyssey. It doesn't really make too much sense. I know some people can't get away with it, but for me, when I watched this in this release, it finally made some sense to us. It didn't make complete sense to us, but the actual version and the fact that it's in 4K and it's been remastered for this release means it's just absolutely jaw-dropping. That's embossed as well, and so is that. And you cannot go past this release. It's one of the best 4K transfers. It's got a little book in there that you'll ever see. So for me, this is the ultimate version of this film, bar none. Get this one, you're done forever. There's no way they can top this film, and it looks stunning in 4K. Highly, highly recommended. And it's really very Kubrickian as well. It's got all the trademarks of him, the scene setups, the vast periods of time with no dialect, all that type of thing, no speaking. So yes, if you didn't like it before, try it again. You might like it like I did. I had it on Blu-ray a couple of times and I didn't really get into it, but really connected with the 4K. Now, after that, in 1971, Stanley Kubrick made A Clockwork Orange, which is a big sort of curveball. If you notice that there's films that aren't really, he takes one from a space genre and then doesn't do another one. He does one from Lolita, like that, which is about, you know, sort of like forbidden love, and then he never does another one. He does some war films, but they're all a bit different. I wouldn't say they're anything the same. And the same is to be said with Clockwork Orange, which is a lot different to any other film that he's done, a lot more different than films that most people have done. I've done a separate video for this, which I'll post down below, about all of the variations that I have. There's no difference in the variations, it's just like the packaging and stuff like that. But I'll link that down in the description. But this for me is, at the moment, it is the definitive version of A Clockwork Orange. And by definitive, I mean the Blu-ray at the moment is a really good Blu-ray. And you can get several versions of it. This is the American version, but you can get a one that's from the HMV Premium series, which I think uses the same print. I think they all use the same print on A Clockwork Orange. So you're not going to get anything different until next year, I'm thinking, fingers crossed. The anniversary's coming up. So I think it's the prime time for Clockwork Orange 4K to hit the streets. And also, I know they're working on it, so there's no reason for them not to do it. And it should look stunning with the colours that are in this film. Bright, bold, and the music as well is phenomenal. So I think the music could sound, if they can do a Dolby Atmos track, which they did do with 2001. I think they can make this one maybe the best ever Kubrick one. Who knows? So the film Kubrick made after that was in 1975, and it was this sort of epic, Barry Lyndon. Now, I haven't watched this yet, although everyone who's watched it, I know a good friend of mine, Andrea Stavros, has watched this, and he said it's an amazing film. It's probably might even be one of his favourite Kubrick films. It's on my list of to watch. It's 3 hours 5 minutes. It's got a long running time, as do most of Kubrick's films at this period. This is from America, this one, although we can get one on the HMV Premium series. I don't know what the prints are like between them. I would imagine they're pretty much the same. This one here is just a bog standard one, you know, with one of them, what they're called, them ones, them cases, which not a lot of people like. Eco-friendly cases, on the plastic. I don't really mind as long as it doesn't look bad on the shelves, which it looks okay. Now, I will be watching this one, so I can't really give you a review on what I think of the film, but the couple of clips I've seen of it look quite good. I like the setups of who's on the screen and whatnot, and I don't know if it's a comedy or not, I'm not too sure, but let me know down there what people think in the description or the comments. Comment and tell me what you think of Barry Lyndon. See if you think it's a really good film, or do you think it's overrated? I'd like to hear your views on that. Now, this next one needs no introduction. Now, as I've said, that so he's made a Clockwork Orange, which defies description, period drama, war films, sci-fi. So here we go with probably the only, well, it is the only horror film that Kubrick ever made, and it is 1980's The Shining. Now, this is the recently released 4K version, and this is by far the best that I've ever seen this in there. It's just stunning. The audio, the picture quality, you can't get past it. So for me, if you ever want this one, go for the 4K. You will not. It's a brand new restoration. It's got everything going for it, as I think all of the Kubrick ones will be. There will be brand new restorations. So if Clockwork Orange is getting worked on now, it'll be a 2020 restoration. This would have been a 2018 or 2019 restoration. So highly, highly recommended. And for me, the 4K Shining is the way to go. You will not be disappointed with that. Pin sharp picture. Lovely HDR as well. Now, next, Stanley Kubrick had a break for about, I think, actually, before Barry Lyndon, around about the time of Barry Lyndon, Stanley Kubrick wanted to make a film about not Waterloo, Napoleon, and he was obsessed by Napoleon, and he was very OCD and meticulous about his records. which his records are legendary. I've seen some in an exhibition, art exhibition, about ones that he had about little things he wanted to do, letters about production letters, which the detail in these letters were just unbelievable. He would keep these records that up to date. So yes, he was going to do the Napoleon one, but that fell through, and I think that turned into Barry Lyndon. But anyway, I think he was trying to get these things going, but he had a few, not failed projects, but he was taking a bit longer and longer to do between his things. So from 1980, the next movie he made was 1987, and it is the classic Vietnam War movie, Full Metal Jacket. And this as well, this is coming out in 4K very soon, probably next year now, or maybe the end of this year. So this version, it's just your regular Blu-ray. It's got some special features on it. It's got a lovely print on it. But for me, at the moment, I would say if you want to get this, try and wait for the 4K, which is just around the corner, and it should be, with all his other films, shot in 35mm. The cinematography would be absolutely amazing anyway in all of these films. So you know that if they do it right, these films will look stunning. And I would imagine that the zenith of this collecting for Kubrick would be if they'd done one ginormous box set, which ginormous is only 13 feature films, which I'm sure there's a lot of, like Alfred Hitchcock has box sets which have more than 13 films in. They could put the whole lot in 4K one year. It probably costs a little bit, but I would like to see that become a thing, because that would be something that a collector would love and pounce upon, the fact of owning all his films in 4K, and you would have a great time with every single one of them. And the last one is his last film, which was made in 1999. It might have even come out after he died, and he was working on it when he died, or just before he died. And it's Eyes Wide Shut, and I haven't seen this movie either. I think there's only that and Barry Lyndon I haven't seen, which I'm putting right because I'm watching them all in order. But as well, I think this is sort of like your regular. I don't think this would ever see a 4K, but you never know, because I don't know if it was a big hit. I don't know anything much about it. What you think about this film? I know it's sort of like I don't even know what the story is behind it. But and besides, I was at one point I was not too keen on Tom Cruise. I quite like him at the minute, but I didn't like him for a long time, so I wouldn't have entertained any things with him in it. But I've quite warmed to him recently, so I put all his Scientology madness to one side, and well, it's Kubrick, so it's got to look good anyway. So I am wanting to watch it, and it will get watched. It's in the line of to watch. Okay, so that's all of Stanley Kubrick's films. And they are, I'm going to say, they're easy to collect, kind of. Some of them aren't the easiest to collect, depends which versions you want. But for me, if you were to get those versions there, or something like it, at the moment, that's probably the best way you can have to have a complete Stanley Kubrick collection. And, you know, who knows what's around the corner for the 4K box sets to do with Stanley Kubrick. So okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to hearing any comments that you have, and don't forget to like and subscribe on this video, and I'll see you on the next time. Take care.